Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So I am going to be talking today about how to beat overwhelm when you're homemaking. So I have just moved in with my mom again. Our whole family is moving in with her or has moved in with her, and it was a bit overwhelming. We had stuff in so many different places. I didn't know where anything was, and we still have to do life and homeschool and all of the things. And so it was a bit overwhelming. And so I'm going to talk to you today about how I kind of beat the overwhelm and got back into a good routine and feeling kind of like I'm on top of it again. So the first thing that I made myself do was get into bed at a decent hour. I was finding myself staying up later looking at social media, and it was really affecting the next day because I was lacking on sleep, and the overwhelm just felt worse because I was exhausted, and then I had another pile of everything to do on top of that. So getting in bed at a decent hour was a must. Now, getting a morning routine was very helpful too, and it's a little bit different now that we are living with my mom because of all of the logistics and just trying to figure out where everything's at and how this is going to flow. So what we've been doing is I will make the kids and myself breakfast. Typically I make the kids breakfast first, and then while they're eating I will make my breakfast. I will drink my metabolism fixer. This is my drink that I love drinking right now. It gives me a little bit of boost of energy, and I feel like it's helping my metabolism because I don't know, I just feel like it is. I'm losing a little bit of fat, and so that's really helpful. And then I make sure that I have a good protein rich breakfast. So I have been making an omelet with spinach and salt and putting it on Ezekiel English muffins, and this is very filling. It gives me good energy and it doesn't weigh me down. So that's another thing that I've been doing. I basically do not function well with clutter or disorganization, and I would assume that most people don't function well with clutter and not being organized. So one of the things that I have done almost daily since we moved is going through things and putting them in a box, throwing it in the back of the car, and then every couple of days I will run to the thrift store and take donations. It's been pretty easy to just throw that stuff in a box and get rid of it since we have moved, because I'm realizing now that we're not in the large house that we were in before, that there's a lot of things that I don't really need anymore. I still need to continue to downsize and go through things and figure out what's being worn, played with, used, and all the things that are not being those things, and getting rid of those things that are just not serving our family, and I am getting overwhelmed because of them. So once I get organized and declutter, then it's time to work on a routine. And there's basic things that you can do. Sometimes being overwhelmed feels like you never get anything done. And so doing certain things to make your list feel accomplished will feel really good. So I try to make my bed, do one load of laundry every day, and then clean up the kitchen. And that's been fairly simple, and because we're in such a smaller house, it's not taken me as long as it used to, and so that has helped tremendously. Now the kids in this video are still sleeping on the floor, and so I was trying to clean up their room and organize it a little bit. We're still very limited on closet space because we are living on top of my mom's stuff, and then 4 kids in one bedroom on top of somebody else's stuff. I still need to downsize their things, We did end up getting them a bunk bed with a trundle underneath of it, so it cleared out some of the floor space, and that feels less overwhelming to me now because we have designated spaces for things. But when you don't have those designated spaces, then it's really hard to not feel overwhelmed, at least in my opinion. So I was just going through and getting rid of clothes that didn't fit anymore, toys that were either broken or that they don't play with anymore, and just trying to put this room in order so that it wasn't complete chaos and super overwhelming. The next thing that I would recommend is making a priority list. Not necessarily a to-do list, because sometimes to-do lists will just overwhelm you even more, but a priority list. What do you need to do for your family to function? And start with that. So for me, that is laundry. If I can get a load of laundry going, fold the laundry that was in the dryer, and then put what was in the washer into the dryer, I feel much more accomplished. And then after that, I will make sure that we can have a space to rest in at night. So our bedrooms are very needing to be cleaned, at least organized. They don't have to be deep cleaned, like vacuumed and stuff every single time, but at least being able to walk in there and not trip and fall. And then lastly, the kitchen. I need for it to be clean enough so that we can start supper and sit down and eat dinner and not feel like everything's dirty. So one more thing that helps to fight overwhelm is to get outside, leave all of that behind, get outside, take a breather for a few minutes, and just relax. Get in the sun, get some vitamin D. It helps to level out your adrenals and your emotions and all of that stuff. So I definitely recommend getting outside. We have been taking walks in this little neighborhood, and it's been so nice to have a place for the kids to ride their bikes while we walk. Even though it's been very cold lately, we have still been getting outside. So I would definitely recommend that. Lastly, this is what I'm kind of doing in this video, is helping out a friend. I feel like sometimes if you can take the focus off of yourself and your problems and focus on somebody else and their problems that may be just a tad bit harder than what you're going through, it is easier to put things into perspective. So this day we were helping out a friend who was pregnant and had had some health complications and really just needed some love and some care from her church family. So we decided to make her a lasagna and then go over and clean up her house for her so that she could rest and just work on healing and all of that. So this lasagna I have showed before, and I promise, I will get this up on the blog within the next 2 weeks. You guys heard that right. I will have it up on the blog in the next 2 weeks. So you can go and subscribe to my newsletter and I will update you guys on that. But basically, we are making our own noodles. We're making them from semolina flour and eggs and salt. It's very simple, and I'm going to use my KitchenAid noodler. I don't even know what they call it, a noodle press maybe, and flatten those out. And we're just making lasagna noodles this time, so it's pretty simple. We just have to run it through, pull it out, thin it out, and then run it through again. I was also making some sourdough for pizza that night for our family, so I had to take that out because it kept bouncing my KitchenAid mixer up and down while I was trying to make these noodles. So I just throw some noodles on the bottom with some oil, and then we layer it. I cook up some onions and some beef. I put lots of seasoning in them. This is the key to having delicious food, is seasoning. Do not spare on the seasoning, and do not think that you don't need to add salt. Salt brings out the flavor in everything. So if something is seasoned really well but doesn't have salt, it seems to just not be as good. But if you add a little bit of salt in there, it's perfect. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. I will be sharing more in the future, so I hope you will subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.